as of recent, there seems to be complaints that the entertainment industry has run out of ideas, which when you look at what's out there for our consuming pleasure, there doesn't seem to be really a whole lot of variety. It's all either a sequel to a popular franchise, a superhero movie, or a reboot regurgitated at us like we're baby birds getting some tasty grub from Mommy Nintendo. However, though it seems like companies are doing this simply because they've, quote, run out of ideas, end quote, that's not the reason. It's actually because the entertainment industry is just a bunch of cowards. Yeah, so I made it through like halfway through the video before I realized I wasn't wearing a hat, so this is what you get. I know what you're thinking. What? No, the entertainment industry makes lots of good things. Which is true, but it doesn't mean they're not cowards. Let's go back to 2015, almost 6 years ago. A year that felt like it was last year, but it wasn't. To when The Force Awakens came out. Disney had bought Star Wars just a couple of years before, and being the self-proclaimed biggest fan of Star Wars ever, I was excited for new movies. When I left the theater though, I was psyched for sure, but I was also disappointed. Star Wars The Force Awakens was just a sloppy reskin of Star Wars A New Hope. It was an idea that was prevalent at the time, but for me, it was the first time that I realized that the entertainment industry had morphed from a source of art and entertainment to a risk mitigation money machine. Star Wars The Force Awakens obviously was a huge success, grossing well over $2 billion since its release. Disney managed to make a ton of money with little to no risk. And now the mantra of tiny risk, massive reward is seen throughout the entertainment industry. It's not that they've run out of ideas, studio execs simply have no interest in taking risks when they don't have to. Disney knows they can release a half-baked superhero movie and we will just gobble it up. Warner Brothers has been attempting the same strategy for the last few years, but they make less than half-baked movies. They just throw trash at you like an angry raccoon, and yet we still eat it up. It's crazy. This hasn't always been the case though, and it wasn't even the case in the 21st century. Moving back to 2006, when Robert Downey Jr. was cast as Iron Man, and my 6th grade crush rejected me. Marvel was taking a huge risk like I was, and it was a risk they didn't want to take, quite like me. Marvel was barely skating by. They had declared bankruptcy not long before, and really they were on the verge of collapse. However, the director of Iron Man, Jon Favreau, who you might know from Chef or The Mandalorian, or for his role in Iron Man as Happy Hogan, had to fight Marvel on casting, saying, "The best and the worst moments of Robert's life have been in the public eye. He had to find an inner balance to overcome obstacles that went far beyond his career. That's Tony Stark." See, Robert Downey Jr. was in and out of jail and rehab for the better part of the early 2000s, and in 2006 his image was still that of a screw-up. Public perception was that anyone with a tiny spark of talent could portray Tony Stark better than Robert Downey Jr. Obviously, however, those people were wrong, like super wrong. Robert Downey Jr. was launched into infinite stardom with his knockout performance as Tony Stark, and Iron Man was a huge commercial success. Thanks to Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man effectively saved Marvel before it was bought by Disney in 2009. Marvel, now Disney Marvel, wasn't out of the gates yet though. Disney was also barely making it. Buying Marvel was a calculated risk, but it was still a big risk. If Marvel stopped pumping out high-grossing movies like Iron Man, Disney would have wasted a lot of money. So Marvel took another big risk. They casted nobodies, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston, for their upcoming film adaptation of Thor, as well as rom-com and former Human Torch actor Chris Evans as Captain America. Marvel got some heat for this, but they took the risk, and it resulted in 2 huge commercial successes. After that, Disney was making a lot of money thanks to Marvel, and by the time the Avengers came out, Marvel Studios had more than paid for itself. After the Avengers though, Disney was making a ton of money, and they stopped taking risks. Phase 2, though it consisted of pretty solid movies like Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, those were only good because the Russo brothers and James Gunn, the directors of each respectively, had to push back on Marvel Studios to take risks. Risks that very clearly paid off. Since then, Disney hasn't taken really any risks, unless there's significant pushback from a director. And even in that case, they often just fire people and replace them with someone more malleable. James Gunn can only get away with it because he's a golden goose as a director. As I film this right now, I haven't seen The Suicide Squad, but I would bet that it's pretty good. Star Wars: The Last Jedi kind of sealed this practice into place, as even though it on its own was a commercial success, the risky storyline with a grumpy old man Luke, among other things, resulted in a massive backlash from fans. Now, I don't want to talk about the sequels, because it'll just make me mad. But I will say that if you complained about The Last Jedi and boycotted Solo, you're the reason art is dead. Disney liked to play it safe, and Last Jedi kind of sealed their commitment to playing it safe. And this resulted in a lot of totally lifeless Marvel movies, uneventful releases, and the death of art. It's not that movie execs and studios have run out of ideas, it's that they refuse to take risks. Risk is imperative when it comes to art. It's what brings art to life. Risks and stakes bring substance into movies, and though they don't always work out, they make movies interesting. If you just play it safe, you're by definition just regurgitating a tried and true formula. That's not art, it's replication. That's where media fatigue comes from. At a certain point, you get tired of seeing the same thing over and over again in a slightly different outfit. Sure, Starry Night is a great painting and one of the most famous of all time. But what if every 6 months we got a new Starry Night with a slightly different color scheme? After a while, only the original would be rememberable, despite there being so many other iterations using the same formula. Disney's habit of bastardizing art won't change until it's no longer profitable. This is because Disney isn't run by people who like movies or art, it's run by people who like money. This video has been mostly about movies, but it's why EA, Bethesda, Ubisoft, Blizzard, and kinda even Nintendo haven't really made a great game in several years. They're companies managed by people who aren't obsessed with art or video games, they're obsessed with money. This can be said of any major company within the entertainment industry, whether it be the music industry or the video game industry or the movie industry as we've been talking about. They're all run by people who are passionate about cash, not about art. As depressing as this is, it's not the end of the world, and actually, it's not that big of a deal. Sure, it's upsetting that superhero movies have turned into modern westerns with 1,000 iterations of the same forgettable formula, but there's a lot of good stuff out there too. Tons of indie movies are released every year, and they're awesome. There are so many small studios obsessed with film as an art form, and that obsession is shown through their work. There are tons of amazing indie games released every year too. Incredible stories told by people who are passionate about the art of storytelling. So before you start dreading the reality that is the entertainment wasteland filled with the lifeless husks of once great intellectual properties, think, maybe I should just look for something new, instead of letting the mouse spoon feed you the same old slop. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like this video. And if you want to see more content by me, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell for notifications so you can be notified every time I make a video. Then once you do that, you should let me know down in the comments below what you think I should do my next video on, and I might actually do it. Then after you do that, you should check out the sponsor of this video, National Realty Group. National Realty Group is a real estate company with offices located in Southern California. They're a one-stop solution office, meaning the real estate, mortgage, and escrow departments are located all in the same office. That means you can go through the whole process of buying or selling a house without the hassle of being bounced around to different companies. This makes the whole process a lot easier and a whole lot more enjoyable. Give them a call at 951
684-2600. Or if you're like me and you don't like talking to people, visit their website.